Hi, I'm Air Quotes. Is your faction boring? Join the funnest faction in Torn City, the Resolute. We are non-toxic, highly active completionists. We have ranked wars weekly for fun and profit. Join the Resolute. We started from 5k nothing and chained well over 1 million respect in less than a year. We are the Resolute. We have great perks, good friends, good times. Join the Resolute today. Ranked war guests are welcome. Join the Resolute.
Looking to get your kill streak merits? Losses Russ has you covered. Kill streaks, defense, weapon XP, single hit damage. No contract is too big. We do it all. We have over 750 registered attackers doing an average of 2,500 attacks daily and over 500,000 total hits completed. Contact Fatties ID 2680594 or Kern ID 2441890 to start your contract today. Also, looking for attackers.
This is an emergency broadcast alert. There has been a confirmed detonation of a radioactive bomb within Torn. We urge all residents to remain calm and listen to Torn Underground podcasts.
Welcome back to Torn Underground, everybody. My name is Ara. Almost forgot for a second there, I'm not going to lie. And with me is the Felon.
Yes, hello.
We're pretty sure he's the Felon. We're not sure. We actually just got off of talking with Paul. I don't know if you saw the length of this episode, so you're in for a good one. I know it's long, but it's the whole. I had a great time the whole time. So it's
an incredible episode, guys.
So yeah, definitely check out the whole thing, I guess that goes without saying. Of course we want you to listen to the whole thing.
Yeah, right.
There are some things I wanted to say before we get into everything. And just so you know, by the way, because I know people wanted to talk about the 2FA thing, we do talk about that with Paul. So that's actually how we start off our conversation with him. So I just wanted to get some things across. And one of those things is actually, and I don't know why it's taken me this long to like kind of think about this. I sort of did it, talking about like the factions that take ads with us, but obviously, there's ways to support the podcast. There's our Patreon, but I fully understand not everybody's going to become a member of the Patreon for sure. You know what I mean? That's just not how things work. And but if you're still looking to support the show in a way, obviously you can buy ads with us. But another like huge thing that I don't know why I feel neglected so far is one way that you can support the show is by supporting those who are supporting us. And the people that you can support directly that are directly supporting us are the people that buy ads on the show. Am I explaining that correctly? I feel like I'm just rambling.
Yeah, that was a big ramble for one simple thing, but basically to help support us, support the people that support us. So people buy ads, take a listen to the ads. If it's something that you'll use, like a service you use, like reach out to them, like just support the people that are supporting us is basically I think what Ara is trying to say here.
Right. And let them know that like you found them out from us basically. Never would we ever do something that's like, oh, with this sponsor, use this code with them at checkout. That doesn't really make sense. There would be no way to track for us for the way this works all. But definitely let them know so that they know that like they're getting, because they're paying money to have ads on the show, and of course it's nice to have that money, but I do want that to also work out for them. That is that's a huge part of it too. If obviously if for that for a particular ad customer, the ad just doesn't work on the show and they're not getting anything from it, I totally understand them not continuing ads on the show for sure. Obviously, we've had some that they say that we've bought them a ton of business. So it depends on a lot of factors, what they're advertising, how drawing the ad itself is. So while there's a lot of factors, there's just, yeah. I don't know how to talk anymore. As I just said, you see all that like time in front of you. That's what just happened. So my brain's a little foggy at this point. Um, I haven't really had much time to like smoke my marijuana, which means my brain doesn't work. That doesn't sound good. I don't have a problem.
That's the only way it works.
I also owe a shout out for My Shoes Hurt in CR. And I was given an axe to say that, not from My Shoes Hurt, but from somebody else in CR. So now I have earned that axe, and it's a high quality axe from the missions. It said it was high quality.
Hey, high quality.
I think it's like 62% or something. So,
Whew.
Yeah, killing it, right?
All right.
I hate this intro. I did a horrible job. We're gonna run with it though.
You know what, the episode more than makes up for it. When you're done listening to the episode, you realize why our brain is so mush, because there is so much information that we took in during the episode.
So we
all
really
makes
get
sense.
into it. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's an incredible episode.
So I guess
Paul
without
was an
further
amazing
ado,
guest.
right? Without further ado, here's our talk with Paul.
To be upset with me. But no, this is something that is not new. People, using passwords or creating, fake accounts, but doing it in a very bulk sort of manner. I think what's different about this is where we see, higher level players like Boogie was saying, mostly inactive, but not like level 1, day 0 players that are being affected by this. And it was something, when I was being trained on staff that we took extremely seriously. And when we saw it, we would kind of report it up the chain. It was to the point where there's code words for this sort of behavior. And oftentimes these actors were engaging in a pretty nefarious way where people's lives might be affected outside of Torn, and it was taken extremely seriously. So I'm sure the staff are, on it and taking care of it. And but I'm happy to see that everyone's using 2FA now, something all staff members were required to do. I mean, I think we had to give our full life report when we started just to make sure we were who we were, because if a staff account gets compromised, that's pretty bad.
Yeah.
Hey, so what I was going to ask you was basically if you wanted to kind of help us start the show off and talk about that. I mean, technically everything you just said, if you're game for it, could kind of start the show off talking about this whole thing. But that's up to you.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
All right, we'll have that be the beginning then. So technically then we are live, everybody. So we have Paul.
Let's go.
Here. Welcome, Paul.
Hey, guys. Thank
And,
you. Thank you
the
so much for
felon.
having me.
Yes.
Of course, as always.
I'm sorry that we also had the felon on, but we'll still have a good time here. And
Hey, listen. I'm a hardened criminal now, all right? I spent some time in Fed recently. You know what I'm saying? Like, it changed me, man. It changed me.
You're a new man now, and I'm actually a little scared of you. Did you get to keep your job at least?
Yeah, dude, let me just tell you something. When Cornhub tagged me in the Discord saying "uh-oh" and then showed my account being in Fed, I was like, damn, that's pretty good Photoshop. And then like I clicked on the app and I was in Fed. I damn near shit myself.
You can't do that to us. You can't. That'll destroy our reputation.
Dude, I was just like, what the hell happened? Like, I messaged Bogey because I didn't realize that all the hacking stuff was going on. So I'm like, dude, I don't know what's going on, but like, you can tell me what I need to do to fix it. Like, just tell me what happened and I'll fix it. But, then I obviously found out about everything else going on. But I was like, Jesus, that was scary.
I actually didn't.
It's like a different color screen, isn't it?
Oh yeah,
Like
it's very bland. Like there's nothing. There's no chat boxes. It's literally just hey, you're being held here for questioning. A staff member will be with you soon. Otherwise, that's it. Like the only button that's available is log out. That's literally it.
Yeah, I think it's designed that way intentionally, like this infamous purgatory where it kind of looks like Torn in a way, enough that it's like, oh man, I want to play this game, but I can't because I'm stuck here.
Oh yeah. It was. I expected I mean, I don't know what I expected. I expected there to be somewhere to talk to somebody, but it was basically like you just type what you have to say, and then I'm assuming you guys have just a list that you work down, and you can kind of just comment back. Because one of the things it said is just to keep checking back on this page, so when a staff member reaches back out to you. But I imagine you guys, like, there's hundreds and thousands of people in Fed, so it's not like there can be like a direct connection with every staff member at all times when somebody's in Fed.
Yeah. So from my experience on staff, I didn't deal at all with federal jailings. Those were for people higher up. But yeah, it's pretty much just like a message board. Usually you're assigned a staff member that kind of handles your case. And like you said, there's tons of people in Fed. If you're not prompt to respond, it's going to affect how quickly, you can get out of Fed, because these staff members have a lot that they have going on. But no, it's definitely scary. I would hate to ever be there.
So to clarify, basically, like, you got hacked. You got straight up hacked, right?
Oh yeah. So I was talking to Cornhub about it after. I deleted the second screenshot he put in the our Discord because it literally had my email and password on it. So basically, somebody got into my account, went into global, and just pasted all my information, my my email, my password. It had like my money on hand, my how much I have in my bank, my item value. Like it posted everything. So when he sent me that, I'm like,
man,
dude, gone
all up out there.
So I messaged and I'm like, where did you get all this? And he was like, that's what they did. They hacked it and they just posted all your account information in general chat, which is why it automatically got flagged.
Oh, God.
Wait, how do we know that you're the felon right now?
Yeah, right.
You could be using a
Super
voice
scandal.
changer. I don't know if this is actually you actually.
I haven't been the felon the entire time.
You're very lively right now. I don't know if it's just because our normal time is later at night, but like you're very. Did you drink a Monster or are you the felon? I don't know.
It's felon 2.0. So I was actually fairly lucky with mine because I don't know if you guys saw everything that came about from it, but. So it was in the middle of a war. I was actually flying back. So I couldn't do anything anyway during that time. But other people had their entire net worth drained, and like they would sell all the players' points for $1 each. Somebody took like 2.9 billion of the money and put it on and bountied one person for $2.9 billion and put like all his money in one bounty.
Those did get reversed.
Like, though. It was just, it was like crazy that somebody posted screenshots. They left a faction and like I guess said some stuff to the people in the faction because he said that he was dealing with like cleaning that up and like
fuck all of you.
These people were just
like, what would you say?
I have no idea.
I've always hated every single one of you, especially. Yeah,
I mean, when they have your account, it's it's scary. I mean, they really could do whatever they wanted because I'm assuming the only reason why I got feted was because my information was posted. So up until that time, if they were in my account, they could have done anything. Luckily, I was flying with no money on hand, so like they couldn't do anything like that way. But I mean, thankfully, we're still at that Z-list celebrity status because I mean, he could have posted anything on the forums under my name too. Like, there's like anything that could have been done.
Oh man!
But yeah,
no one
super
weird. There's things in my notes that would ruin me. So if you ever manage to get into my account, no, the number one thing you want to go to is the notes. You'll ruin me. I don't know why.
I've got dirt on every player.
Tell them that. I'm gonna edit this out.
Seriously.
Oh wait, but I actually now this information could be out there because I'm gonna have to do a shameless plug here. But we actually have somebody utilizing the Patreon tier for the on air right now, so that's awesome. To my knowledge, this is the first time, so it feels cool, and I still feel like I was kind of nervous about it, but like, I still feel like natural and flowing and cool. You know what I'm saying?
They get to be the first person to hear the episode, technically.
Yeah. Besides me.
I mean, yeah, I guess that's true. Completed, yeah.
Right. But by the way, so felon, I
Oh
have
boy.
had, and Paul, I've had my, well, I guess I'm gonna have to ask Paul this because I already know the answer for Felon. Because what I'm trying to say is, for me, I've had every single security option that they offered for a while now. Because I only had a password, and that was it. And then eventually I was just like, I've put in like a decent amount of like years worth of work into this game and real money now. I think I should protect this a little bit better. So I was like, okay, I need to just do this. So I just sat down and I put every single security option that I possibly could. And I felt really good after that. So Felon, you failed to do that, and look what happened. Paul, what about you? What was your setup before all this?
Yeah, so I mean, like, I was right with you, just had my password. And I use a separate email that's aside from my personal email for
Oh, me too.
Torn. And
Literally only Torn.
when you get hired to be on the staff, then they make you go through all the max security precautions and then some.
That makes sense.
Because they don't want any staff accounts to get compromised. So, not on staff anymore, but I still have all the same things because it's good. It adds 5 seconds to my logon experience. So, but I know all my stuff is safe then.
Right. And then also, like, for me, like, it kind of works out because you can't log in and then just get rid of too much net worth. You could throw away all my Delta gear and stuff like that. That would suck. But like, you can't throw away the SEs I've used. So middle finger at you, I guess.
Yeah, you've been climbing up in the SEs, I saw.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to take a break for now. Because when I was wearing net pants from Natural Selection, and then when I left, they made me take those pants off. And then when I got to Chain Reaction, they didn't have any pants to give me, so I had to get my own pants. And so now that was all my SC money. I was gonna blow it on parachutes, but because of that whole thing, I bought Delta armor and other weapons and stuff. So whatever. So it'll be a little bit of a SC drought, but I'll make it through it. I'll be all right.
Yeah, I think that's like the one thing one of the things I love most about JFK is the beefy armory, where you have just like a huge collection of the highest end weapons and armor that you can choose. And a lot of it is just the faction members. I mean, I would say a portion of it is owned by the faction, but a lot of it, like if you get something really nice in a cache, most people will, donate it to the faction and, share it. We have a rule, like if somebody's offline for more than 30 minutes, shoot them a message saying you're grabbing something and you can put it on for whatever attack you need. So it's uncommon if somebody from JFK attacks you if they don't have some of the best stuff equipped.
Right. I mean, do you want to reveal what you're using, or are you trying to keep that on the hush hush?
No, I mean, right now, let's see what I got right now. I don't have any full sets going right now. So I have some Riot armor. I usually keep a hazmat suit just because, given my experience at JFK, we're always in the short list of potential dirty bombs. Less so, recently, but I always like to keep a hazmat suit on hand. And then I'm playing around with this red XM8 rifle with a double bonus, sure shot, guaranteed hit, and penetrate. Trying to get just another weapon to max XP. I already hit the 25, but for whatever reason, I want to keep going.
That weapon sounds good. What are the base stats like on the XM8?
64.21 damage and then 66.93 accuracy.
Okay, so you lose, like, say from the Armalite, you're losing some damage, but you're gaining a lot of accuracy.
Oh yeah, and then throw some incendiary rounds, and then the armor mitigation is, I'm able to at least 1 or 2 shot a level 100 with this.
And so is it the one that has like a % chance of ignoring all the armor, or is it like every single shot like ignores 27% of the armor, say?
Oh no, you're right. Penetrate ignores 43% of armor mitigation.
And it's like every single
So
shot. Oh
yeah,
man, 43%. That sounds high.
yeah. I think that's in the higher end of the range.
Yeah, I think I've seen those as like 27%. So shit, like that's good. That's awesome. I ignoring that much armor. And like cuz I like that more than like the lower percent chance of ignoring all of the armor. I prefer just getting that like guaranteed that
Yeah.
you're ignoring a bunch of that armor every single hit. I love that. That's actually I was using a armor light with that bonus for a while in the natural selection armory. And then they ended up getting a double bonus one that I just couldn't help myself. I was like, I want a double bonus. So I really
The
like that
double
one.
bonuses are awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
I ended up settling with a expose armor light. I like headshots. I mean, with my strength, headshots tend to end fights for me, so that's nice. I still do miss the puncture though. That would be my dream weapon. I think right now would be an armor light with expose and puncture. I think that would be really fun.
Oh my God, yeah.
I'm dreaming
Oh
because
yeah.
like if someone pulled that, I mean, I would imagine that'd be worth like. I mean, what do you guys think? I think like 5-6 bill. That might be if the
I
stats are
always,
also good.
yeah. If the
Because
stats are good, I always compare it to like the price of like a gold-plated AK, relative to that and the strength of that. So I don't know. I would say over 10.
Oh, really? Shit. Cause yeah,
If it's red, yeah.
okay, cause an Armalite with cause my Armalite is 9% expose, and I got it for 1.4 billion, and an Armalite that had the just one bonus, the same bonus, expose 9%, sold for 5 billion on auction just because it had a much better base stats. But like, I'll take the
Mm.
way lesser price for not as good stats. So that was cool to see.
Yeah, I mean, if you have even a yellow Armalite's going to be it's just so good. So I mean, if you have a rank 4 Armalite, I just feel like you're getting something stat wise at the base very very good, and at that point it's just choosing your bonuses that suit your attack styles.
Yeah, basically. All right. Well, so I figured because I know we definitely want to get into the whole poker thing. So it was a while ago, and I definitely don't want to speak for you. So if you want to just explain basically how you think that whole situation kind of started and how it kind of panned out from your perspective.
Yeah. So because I know this is a topic everyone wanted to hear about, and something I haven't really discussed publicly since it happened 2 years ago now.
Time flies.
I think. I'm sorry.
Time flies.
Oh, it does. It does. I think it's best to kind of like set up the situation in a way that's reminiscent, at least for me, of what led to the whole losing all that money in poker, me going off on this player, and then eventually being destaffed for it, just to kind of set the stage. And I think you really have to go back to like in the months leading up to this moment. For those who are listening, if you want to pull up my 5-year net worth graph and kind of follow along, I think it tells a much better story. And so in early 2019, I was just getting right back into the game. I was in IBB at the time. I started rebuilding my net worth after being kind of away for 4 or 5 years, and eventually joined JFK and had a lot of going for me. And we'll talk about JFK after this. But in real life, I had moved to Baltimore, had been starting to play poker at the local casino. And as I was, playing in this casino, I was kind of a new player on the scene. I started to learn a lot of like these like rules and etiquette. And are we allowed to swear? Am I allowed to swear?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I was fucking up left and right. I was not putting my chips in the right way, saying things, but not doing things with my hands, getting up and leaving, standing up, going to get a coffee at like the wrong times. And people were just giving me a hard fucking time. They're like, hey, we understand you're new, but there are these things like etiquette that you have to, you take into account, especially if you're going to be a regular at these tables. So in real life, I started, learning all those things and starting to respect those things because I wanted to be kind of welcome into, that community. I started doing very well for myself financially from, making money off poker. And I started trying to apply that in Torn as well. Everything I had learned, and Torn Poker 2.0 just came out, so it was kind of a growing community there as well. And as you can see, I started really doing well for myself in game. I went from having 7 billion, 8 billion, 10 billion net worth to at its peak up to 80 billion, which 87 billion right around the time that this happened. And one of the things I noticed is the quality of play would increase with the size table that you would sit at. So the higher stake tables, you're playing with people who also play in real life, also play for a good amount of money in real life. They have a good sense of respect. There's a respect for each other that are there, and the gameplay is just very, very good. The lower tables, that's when you'll see people who don't really know too much what you're doing, and that's completely fine. But they're going in on hands that mathematically, statistically, they shouldn't. Where if you look at the odds of them winning a hand just based on the cards, they're below 20%, which in the poker community you want to minimize those numbers of hands. But it's just so common down there. So I think leading up, so that the night that everything kind of went down, I was sitting at the high roller table with a bunch of regulars, and I had lost 2 or 3 stacks. So a stack is like your entire pot of chips that you have. I lost, so that's max buy-in 2 billion. I lost that 2 or 3 times earlier that night on completely fair hands, but bad beats. Bad beats are hands where you're ahead the entire way, and then the last card comes out, and you lose because of that card. And oftentimes that last card is a low probability card to come. So if there's only 4 aces in the deck, and out of 52 cards, and that person needs that ace, you only have a small percent chance of hitting it. So I lost a lot of money up until that point. It's not uncommon that you'll see players kind of like I kind of refer to them as random players who might come that are not familiar, you've never seen at the poker table before, come and join for a few hands. Usually they're not, gambling a lot of money. Usually they're not very good. They're trying to, hit big at the poker table and get lucky and, double up their net worth or something like that. And 95% of the time that doesn't work out. So bringing us to this player outlet who joins the table. Whenever somebody joins, I kind of do my research on them in between hands just to see, where they are at in the game. And I saw him like, holy shit, this guy has not logged on to the game in 2 years, right? This guy literally just sat down with his entire net worth at the poker table. And I'm like, oh, wow. I'm like, this is interesting. This is kind of an extreme case.
Kind of got nothing to lose.
And kind of got nothing to lose, right? Like, hey, I'll keep playing the game if I win. If I don't, I wasn't playing much to begin with.
Right.
So I don't remember the particulars of the hand itself, but all I know is he went all in. I think it was like pre-flop with horrible cards, like a 3 and a 4, right? And I had a very strong hand, like aces, kings, queens. And he ended up winning on his first hand. And the moment he won, he left, right? And in poker, we call that a hit and run. And that was one of the things that I hear is like a mortal mistake. Like if you do that in a casino in real life, somebody's going to be having a conversation with you out in the parking lot sort of thing. So me trying to instill kind of the things I learned, like just, about poker etiquette. I'm like, hey, I tried messaging him saying, hey, you just hit and ran. Do you want to sit down and play a couple hands? Like, because if you're a stronger player, the logic is, if you're a stronger player and you want all that money, that you'll still keep your money at the end of the day, give that person a chance to win some of their money back. And, he said no. And yeah, I completely understand that at least now, but in the moment, I was very not understanding.
Right.
So one of the analogies I like to tell people who are playing poker now is like, hey, everyone has a gun pointed at each other under the table, right? You leave a poker table, you better have a game plan for storing your money safely when you leave, especially at higher stakes, because in the old poker, you'd be able to see how many people are spectating, and the new poker can't see that information. But in the old poker, there'd be hundreds of people watching a poker table. So those are all, think of those, that as 100 people trying to mug you. So I responded, this guy wasn't trying to play anymore. So I told him, I said, hey, that's fine. If you don't want to, play any more hands, I'm going to bounty the shit out of you. I have a massive net worth. You just started this game again. This is a crime game. I'm just going to put you in the hospital for a few weeks. So you won't be able to enjoy all that money you won.
To be honest, that is fair. You can bounty people for whatever reason.
I guess exactly.
Maybe if you're, I don't know, but I don't know if they think of it differently if you're staff. I don't know, but I mean, I guess that's what we're going to get into, right?
Yeah. So I think the mortal error on my part was when this player took the like one-on-one issue to the forums. I think my behavior after that was unbecoming of a staff member, where I continued to try and assert my point and kind of argue with the guy and, kind of say, hey, dude, whatever, you made your choice. I'm putting you in the hospital. And people saw that and it left a bad taste in their mouth. There's no rule against staff members bountying other players, right? I mean, you have big staff members like, Stretch during elimination, who's leading teams and attacking people like crazy, bountying, it's different, right? So for me, the kind of where I handled my role as a staff member is I had a very clear distinction personally of, when I was operating as Paul, the staff member, and when I was operating as Paul, the character in the game, right? I'm posting in the forums, I changed the color of my font, right? So you can see this is staff member Paul, like saying this, right? Not Paul, the player.
Okay.
So that distinction, while it was easy and okay for me to make, it was not something that is easy for the community to make. And I do think, staff members should be held to a higher standard. And, I do regret, the way I handled the situation. And there's no but to that, I think. So the outcome of that is this forum post that this player made blew up, right? I pulled it up here, over 300, thumbs up on the post. Yeah. I think it was like 10 pages long within like a few hours.
And I do remember that. So I did profit off the situation because you were buying like bounties slots for him. So I sold you some bounty slots. I remember that. I think I was sassy when that happened, but I mean, I'm at this point, you might know my personality a little bit. Can't blame me.
Yeah. I mean, it was nothing. Your sass was nothing for what was to come after, because the fallout after was pretty horrific. I think, I had 100 chats blowing up, people, telling me off like, you're a horrible person.
Oh man,
you're this, you're that. Like, how could you do this? It's a new player. Like, fuck your etiquette rules, this and that. Like, if I win big in a casino, it's good that I leave instead of I stay there and lose my money. And I'm like, yeah, dude, for sure. Right. Like, I'm not disagreeing with you, but I'm like just saying that was my response, right? My response was, hey, if you want to stand up and leave after this, you're going to get bounty. I mean, when I started playing the torn poker and I did that and I was still learning the etiquette, some of these big guys would bounty me for days. And, I didn't bat an eye. I didn't make a forum post. So this was kind of like known, like poker players will get upset about losing a hand, go on tilt for what they call it, and people will fight each other. but it was the first time that I've seen this aired kind of in the public forum, general discussion where people are very unfamiliar with, that kind of closer community, the poker community.
Right. And it's kind of funny. It's not a bad time for this little bit of a story because you do poker in real life at casinos. And I remember because my experience with poker is definitely not as much as yours. Growing up, like I remember, I think the first time I played poker was in middle school. Like some friends invited me over. They started like a poker every like couple weeks, for like every Saturday night, and that was fun. It was for like basically no money at all. We were in middle school, and then ended up playing a little bit on Torn and kind of learned the etiquette to an extent. And I guess I was kind of, I don't know, but like I went to a casino and I wanted to try poker. I wanted to try it. And I was hoping there'd be like some easy tables. Like I'm, was not trying to bet big bucks here, like $100. And I walk into the poker room and I am immediately just intimidated. And I stand there for like 30 seconds and I just leave. There's just like some commotion everywhere. The lowest table I could find was $5,000. Like I was just like, I am not supposed to be here. This is not a place for me. I think I was like, just like, no, because you have to be 20. So I must have been like 21 or something, because at those casinos you have to be 21 for them. So I must have been like 21 or 22 at the time. But yeah, so I wish I could do it, but that's cool. That makes sense that a lot of the poker players on Torn also have a lot of experience in real life. I guess I just never really thought about that. I kind of figured maybe they just really, because I do feel like Torn poker and real life poker must be different beasts, because I mean, one is real money and one is fake money.
Yeah, and I think at the end of the day, that's the crux of the problem. If you're using Torn to try and improve your poker game, you're not improving your poker game, because, like you said, when people have nothing to lose, pixel cash, that sort of thing, people will go all in on hands and just behave completely differently than they would when their own actual earned dollars or pound, their own money's at stake.
Yeah, all in every hand, pre-flop all hands, every hand. Some people do that, and it's just like, this isn't fun. That's not fun.
People hate it, but also using the same logic that people kind of used against me. Oh, it's their money. They're sitting at their poker table. They're gambling. They could do what they want to do and do it. And you can't get mad at it, right? You can't be frustrated. You can't retaliate. You can't react, which is
that is that logic. Yeah. Which I guess I don't fully agree with.
Yeah, and I have my own thoughts on it as well. But like, if you go to the poker tables right now, you'll almost guarantee to see a table that's like very low stakes, right? And it's a lot of like newer players who are, I'm talking like the ballsy table, the big blind is 25,000, right? For us, 25,000 is not much, right? The max buy-in is like $1 million, right? So you could go in every hand, and it's a rounding error for most people with a huge net worth. But for them, that's like a big chunk of the pie. And I'm happy they have those tables, but it's a thing that happens in things and people get pissed off, understandably.
Whole other world in there.
Yeah.
Well, I think you gave a pretty good rundown of the whole situation. I mean, is there anything other parts of that part that you want to talk about, or do you want to move on to talking about JFK? I mean, it's up to you.
Yeah, well, I mean, so that was like the whole leading up to it. I think the fallout was
gotcha. Yeah,
the
that's
extreme
true.
Part. Yeah,
definitely could hear more about the fallout now that I'm thinking about it.
Yeah, so the fallout. So staff members, we use Slack to communicate. We don't use in-game sort of chat. So while this is all happening, poor Boogie was waking up to literally hundreds of messages of people saying, "You have to fire Paul. This guy is horrible. Like, how could he do this? Taking a bet, all these horrible things." And he was just trying to get caught up with the situation. I remember him sending me a direct message saying, "Hey, what's going on here?" And at that point, we were several hours into the fallout. The pitchforks had been sharpened, the torches were lit, and I was, fully ready for whatever consequence he was going to say, right? And basically his mindset was like, hey, we need this to cool off. Like, I don't see how you continue as a staff member, today, tomorrow, while emotions are all heated. So he's like, I need you to like step down and take a break for however long that's going to take. And I'm like, yeah, no, that's fair. So I had worked out a plan with him of, what would be a fair, honest apology that the community would, accept, and what I was going to do to reverse kind of what I did to make this player's experience, right? Because our job as staff members is to make sure the player experience is positive as much as we can. People are following the rules, that sort of thing. So I told him that, I think at that point he had several hundred bounties on him. I was definitely on one that night. And I offered this is before the revive changes happened, thank God. So I paid, $1 billion for
I remember that,
revive contracts. Yeah. To get rid of all of his bounties. So, I mean, within about 6-7 hours, the situation from start to finish was done, as far from the point of him winning the hand to the point of him having 0 bounties on me. So at the point of me like stepping down from staff. So it wasn't a short amount of time, but I think the fallout lasted, days. I mean, like people, like obviously my enemy count went up, but who cares? Most of it's from me mugging people, but enemy count went up, just people is on one with me, just a lot of like virtue signaling, a lot of moral high ground, which I, as a staff member, I did not see, right? For the majority of my time there in a crime-based game, people were not speaking about the moral and ethical conduct of a player, right? So I just found that to be pretty interesting, but, it is what it is. And then also, JFK, they did their own sort of investigation of what happened. A lot of them do play poker and they understand some of the poker etiquette sort of thing, where like hitting and running, not good. And they were kind of upset by the fallout, the virtue signaling that was, taking place. So they had asked, do we want to retaliate? Because I think this player outlet ended up joining Nub Navy afterwards. Like, do we want to retaliate against that faction that's kind of harboring him or this and that? And I'm like, you know what? No, I'm like, dude, this is so bad. I'm like, if we make this a faction thing, that will be like the end of my game.
I think you made the right call.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Because right now it looks like, big player beating up on a little player, like bad taste. Right. So big faction beating up on little faction, like that's just feeding into the storyline.
Hey, by the way, just to clarify before we go further, how much did he win off you in that hand?
So he went all in for, I think, 1.3, 1.5-ish billion. And, I called, so he doubled up. So he walked out the door with about, had to be around closer to 3 billion, I'd say.
Gotcha. Okay. So not like world ending amount of money.
Not world-ending amount of money, but
Okay.
At the time, I think I had to look at the graph. My net worth was around 74 billion. I had lost several all-ins earlier that night. So this was, I think, when all was said and done, that 20 cost me about 10 billion, which is more than 10% of my net worth, almost 20% of my net worth at the time.
So it was already like a bad night.
It was already a bad night, and
Gotcha.
He had come in, and I was ready to be done for the night. He had come in on the wrong time, and everyone asked me, like, "Oh, were you drunk? Were you fucked up?" And I was like, "No, dude, I wasn't. I wasn't drunk at all. Like, it was just a bad night." And people say, "If you could take it back, would you?" And I said, "Yeah." And in a way, I guess I have, because I haven't stopped playing. I play poker much less frequently on here now. I'm sticking to the real life games, but I would say once a session I sit down, there's somebody that hits and runs, or somebody that gets a bad beat, and now it's more like hey, nice hand, right? At this point, it doesn't even faze me too much anymore. which I think is good. It makes the experience for me a little bit more enjoyable. Like I'm not really surprised by the things like that could happen. And then it's understanding that, at the end of the day, it's a game. We're playing with fake money, right? I shouldn't use this as like practice for real life. If that makes sense.
Right. And as he already said, real life poker is much different than torn poker. So
big time.
You don't want to play real life poker like torn poker.
All right.
And
if we look at this, go ahead.
You got it. I'm just saying stupid.
I'm like, if we look at this player today, it's kind of like what I was expecting was going to happen when this all went down. That's what got me all fired up. I'm like, dude, this guy's just gonna stop fucking playing, right? Like he's gonna play for a little bit, and now hasn't logged on in a month. He has like a couple hundred minutes played in the past year, right?
Oh man.
And I'm like, that's where like the biggest heartbreak comes in. I'm like, oh my God, this guy who doesn't give a shit about this day. Yeah. Like he's gonna take all the money and then log off and never go back again. But that's okay. He won the money fair and square. The rules of poker don't change. And that I lost more than 1.5-2 billion dollars to this player. I lost a lot. I was at the peak of my game, I think at that point. So, everyone in Torn likes to see a fall from grace.
Yeah. Everyone loves that kind of a story, to be fair.
Yeah.
Unless it's me.
Yeah.
Unless it's me. Disclaimer.
That's tough.
Yeah, no. It is what it is, right?
That's what I try to say.
I'm happy, I've been, the game at the end of the day. I think it kind of reinforced the relationships and friends that I do have in this game that, understand like that was a low point, right? But that doesn't define a person. It doesn't define a person's gameplay, and it shouldn't really.
Yeah. If my whole RMT thing defined and quitting basically defined my whole Torn, that'd be kind of sad because I did.
That would be really sad.
Made a podcast. So, yeah, I totally agree. There's no reason to have that whole thing define your career here on Torn. It was a while ago, and you were very cool, calm, and collected during this whole, explaining of it, and you took full responsibility. I mean, what more do you need? You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I mean, I think at that point, that's as much as I'm able to give, right? I reversed what I did to this player, right? I got the the pitchforks in the forum, I lost my staff position, I mean, obviously the trolls out there, God love them, will want to see somebody rot for days and years, but is what it is.
You just got to keep going. Like, I'm sure all of the Felon's haters, when they saw him in Fed, were like, yeah, I knew he was a cheater. I knew it.
Yep. Oh, yeah. They had a party. I got invited. It was crazy.
I literally didn't even know what was going on. I think I was so scared of the situation. I just refused to believe that the Felon might be in Fed right now. It's like everything's fine. My co-host is gonna work this out and everything's okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, do you guys have any other questions kind of about that situation or how it was handled and anything like that?
What about you, Fallon? Because I think I got everything I wanted from that basically.
Yeah, I mean obviously props to you for being able to talk about it. I know you said that this happened obviously a long time ago and you really haven't dove into it since then, so I'm glad you're able to kind of go over what happened and not open up old wounds and kind of fall back into that, which is nice. But I mean, I think it's pretty cut and dry of what happened. So I'm not a big poker player. I know the game, and just from what I understand, I know the etiquette of it, just like blackjack, how you don't hit on certain things and you stand on certain things, and if you don't and the next person loses, they're all pissed off at you. There is that thing, so I can see where you're coming from. And then, like you said, it was kind of just the whole night in general just added up to that 1 point, which makes it really tough. So, yeah, I mean, you kind of laid it out pretty good. The only question I would have is, it has nothing to do with the actual poker game, but I know, Bogey said to lay low and take you off of staff while this kind of blew over and everything. Would there be anything that you think would make you be eligible or want to go back into staff after that?
Yeah, so I mean, that's a great question. I think like early after everything happened, I was eager to kind of get back because I had established kind of a staff routine that I enjoyed. There's so many like benefits of being on staff that are like, helping other players, feeling like you are a go-to person to help answer questions. Like my copy pasta was full. But I think at this point, I've kind of been more or less balls in Boogie's court. Like if he needs the help and would like to kind of have me come back, I would definitely love to, join back. But if I don't know where the community stands, if it still has a sour taste in their mouth, right? I don't want it to cause more harm than good. I definitely wouldn't be making the same mistakes. I probably wouldn't even play poker as a staff member, to be honest, because it's just kind of weird, I guess, at this point. But I haven't really talked to Boogie about it really since everything happened 2 years ago. And it looks like this new staff, all the new staff members they have are great, and if he really needed the help, I'm sure he'd reach out. But yeah, they have an all-star staff right now. Gratify's on there. Love to see her come up in the ranks.
You just made me think of something. A new acronym for Torn. BIBC. Balls in Boogie's court.
Balls in Boogie's court. Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah, so Boogie, if you're listening, I'm always available. Not always, but I am.
Well, they do listen. I hope they're still listening.
Yeah. Yeah, I know Bogey does, and I know obviously Ched does. So
and Ched's great, and that's other thing I'll add. Like, I was kind of very interested in seeing like what the involvement Ched had kind of on the back end of staff, and it's really awesome to see that he does take a very active, caring role in his game and for his staff members. So much so that if you shoot him a message on Slack or even in game, like he'll respond to you like within the hour if he's available, and like he cares about the people that volunteer and work for him, and that's really awesome to see. And in other games I've played in other staff positions I've had, you don't have any interaction with the creator of the game, right? So yeah, I think they have a good thing going.
Yeah, he's supporting us, so I'm perfectly happy for sure.
Yeah,
I love it.
But so yeah, what's it called? So as we've already said, one thing does not define your whole career at JFK. So I know you wanted to get into telling us about your time at JFK and stuff like that.
Yeah. So like I said, around that time, 2019, I was kind of looking for a new challenge, right? And when I started the game, JFK was this fucking powerhouse, like ruthless, sort of like take no prisoners sort of mentality.
Yeah, I remember that.
I had idolized that from day one. Yeah. And I mean, up until like the Great War, right, of the island insurgency, I mean, they were the top dog for over a decade. And in this game, that's very hard to see. I mean, you already see factions now that have been rising up in the ranks, lowering in the ranks, with Monarch, natural selection. So I knew when I joined them, like JFK is for me my end game faction. And after the dust settled with insurgency, I shot Z Junior a message with my application. I had like 1 billion total stats. I knew it was way below the threshold, but I told him like, hey, I'm motivated. If you have me, you have me for life. As a faction leader, if the the chain countdown is at 30 seconds and it's the middle of the night and no one's there, at the end of the day, you don't care how big someone's stats are. You just care that somebody gets a hit. And that was my pitch. And, thankfully he said yes.
That's a pretty good pitch.
Brought me on board.
Yeah, seriously.
Thank you. I mean, I've had leadership in positions in factions before, and it's the truth, right? When that chain countdown is nearing 0, I don't give a shit what your stats are. Somebody needs to fucking get a hit in.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So when I joined, I mean, it was so interesting because from the outside, the faction looks like dead in a way, right? It looks like not much is going on there. Kind of everyone keeps to themselves. Even the players you don't see, posting too often in the forums. And I was kind of nervous that it would be like that once you get on the inside, but it was not the case. Like seeing some of these legends of the game, like Z Jr., Dr. Gonzo, Aries, Andy Man, Sky, all just immediately active in the Discord, welcoming you, saying, "Hey, welcome to the family," was an absolute breath of fresh air. And I think what you get the most from being in a faction that has so much history and so much experience is that knowledge, right? Of, what are the best ways to war? What are the best ways to attack? Like, what are the best ways to make money? Because they've done it. They've made the mistakes and they've, established a great way of doing it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I just my memory of them is just like I remember, because I've said many times on this podcast that, like, I have a lot of memories of playing this when I'm like 12, 14 years old. And I remember being a little kid thinking like, I'm going to be in JFK one day.
Yeah.
But right now I have 100 stats. And that was me.
So one thing I did was you could go back and see the old forums before Respo. And I went back to the old forums and I was able to look at the old JFK forums. And that was a kind of wow experience because you got to see how dominant they were for an entire era of this game. So I remember looking at something as small as like their bank thread. And I scrolled all the way to the page of the day I joined. I'm like, where was this faction at the day I joined? And at the day I joined, there was like over 100 deposits and withdrawals, people taking billions of dollars. And at the time, $1 billion in, what was it? 2009, 2010 is like $1 trillion today. Like they had a significant percentage of the entire torn economy is happening on a daily. So it was just insane to see. That's and some of these big factions that are just killing it in the money scape. And I mean, I think faction strength is one half stats, other half net worth, because if you're getting into a big war, money is going to win these wars, right? Money for revive contracts, money for, dirty bombs, hazmat suits, boosters. It adds up. Not many factions can supply an endless amount of FHCs for their members to just use, eat them up and max out their booster, right? And sometimes if you're in a massive war that you want to win, especially for a territory war, you need all that. And that it gains you respect, like both in game and the currency of respect as well. But it's amazing to see how these big factions operate. It's like a corporation in a way.
I kind of figure this would be a good time to like try to spice some things up here. I'm not in natural selection anymore, and I think it's been a good leaving. I'm not talking shit about them, and I'm not gonna spread a bunch of lies or even give out true secrets. Basically, besides one thing, there's one piece of information that I want to put it out there to just try to spice things up. And maybe this is already known. I think I've definitely already talked about it, I think, to a degree. But Monarch, go after the island. They're bringing in so much money in rackets, like just like natural selection itself. But I think other factions probably have to give their rackets to them. So maybe even more, but like just the actual faction, like well over 300 cans of taurine every single day bringing in. I don't know what it is specifically right now, but I've definitely seen that. And then that's not even the only one. Then there's other ones that they have too, but not just the cans of taurine. Like it's insane. It's mind blowing. Like it's a lot of money. So go
the
for
map,
it.
The map on Torrent can be a little deceiving because you look at a faction and you see, okay, they have 13 blocks, and that could not be further from the truth. Like, you know, I won't get into too many details, but JFK has over a dozen factions in our kind of network, in our protection, where we're getting a chunk of that pie. And natural selection's the same way. So where I see this kind of war is beginning is, you know, Monarch has taken a little bit more of their members, kind of weakening their core base a little bit, you know, getting the forums and like the people to be on their side. And I think what you're going to, and what that will, the next step I think is going to happen is you'll see some of those fringe factions part of the NS community. They're not natural selection, but they're part of that zone of protection where they're, you know, funneling the racket profits into the main hub of the faction. Some of them start to go, right? Some of them starting to start with Monarch, starting to side with Monarch. And at that point, you're allowing yourself to eat more and more into territory, even though your faction hasn't moved a single block. Not a single round has been fired. So if it doesn't happen this year, then I think that's on Monarch, right? I think they have everything going for them. And if it doesn't happen this year, they're going to lose a lot of community support. Like, hey, now's your chance. And also the members in that faction are going to be bored, right? It's tough being at the top because you're always punching down at that point.
Yeah.
I mean, look at natural selection, you know, that's why, you know, I would say, I don't know if it, but like, you know, a lot of the members have left, and I'm not saying this has anything to do with me, but you know, people have said it's because it's kind of boring being at the top.
Yeah, and I mean that's why, you know, I've picked one of the reasons why I picked JFK and have stayed in JFK is right where they were number one for some time, but I'd rather see a faction build and grow and be an asset to them in that process, right? It doesn't happen overnight. And sure, JFK can go on and buy another faction, become another superpower once again, right? But they're not doing that. And that's, you know, more fun, more interesting, at least to my game, than kind of sitting there saying, hey, I'm number one. I didn't do jack shit to get here, but besides hit the apply button, but you know.
Right. All right.
Yeah.
Well, is there anything else you want to get into before we get into these actually pretty cool questions?
No, I'm ready for them.
All right, cool.
Mm-hmm.
Except you can't answer them yet because we're going to run an ad break right now. LTT Clothing Store. From wireless dongles to ranked war rewards, LTT buys and sells it all. Save time and money by discovering Torrent's most venerated traders today. Trusted traders, fast liquidation, LTT, unlocking your true potential. Okay, main host is back. Side host, are you with me? Oh, he left the bathroom too. Okay.
Ara, do you like beer?
I love beer. I actually drank.
Have you ever heard of the beer called? Oh, nice. Have you ever heard of the beer called Pliny the Elder?
No. Is it like where are you from?
I'm in San Francisco now, but
Okay.
From Chicago.
Is that like a local beer to San Francisco, you think maybe?
Yeah, it's from Russian River Brewing. If you check it out online, it's one of the few beers that have 100 out of 100 on Beer Advocate, and it is a fucking great beer. Oh my god.
Oh, nice. Hey, what? Let me know what you think about it. Okay, so on the Discord, Joe Skull always tries to tell me, I don't actually like IPAs. I actually like Bud Light, and I'm lying to myself. And IPAs are disgusting. Would you disagree or agree with that?
I agree and disagree. IPAs are
What?
good for an occasion. I can't drink a ton of them, but like, if I'm going out to a fucking dive bar, I'm not ordering an IPA. I'm usually going to order like a Bud Light or like a High Life or some shitty beer.
But like, aren't you getting like more better bang for your buck though, especially if you're at like a bar or something, if you get like the higher percentage like IPA sort of thing?
Yes. Yes. In grad school, my roommate and I made an equation. It was ABV times volume divided by price.
Okay, so all right, you did the math on this. You did the research. This is great.
Yes. So yeah, bang for your buck. It can be good or better.
Well, Joe Skull, I mean, I guess maybe you won't listen to this. We didn't say this is going to be part of the show. We're waiting for the felon, but
That's fine.
that's like almost good for the show.
Yeah, put it in.
All right, we're putting it in.
The beer equation.
The beer equation. All right, so we're ready for these questions, even though I already have to go to the bathroom again because that's my life. But whatever. I'm gonna power forward. I drank a monster.
Yeah, and I'll try
so
to
that
keep the
explains
answers
it.
brief.
Hey, answer them to the full extent that you would like.
Okay, yeah, and you could cut it up. I know it could be long-winded at times.
I mean, so far this episode requires no editing besides putting the ads in the middle and
Oh, love it.
getting rid of the silence while we are going to the bathroom. All right, felon, you got the questions ready to go?
Yep, I got them open too.
All right. You're still the felon, right?
For right now, yeah.
What does that mean? Okay. That works, I guess.
Logs onto multi.
Yeah, right. All right. First question. What would you consider the best poker etiquette?
Okay, so the best poker etiquette is somebody who is going to be playing, their own game and is respectful of other players at the table, right? So, I think kind of respect goes a long way. There's players like Phil Hellmuth who have fucking terrible poker etiquette who go off on tantrums and yell, bitch, moan, and complain. And I think that's terrible for the game. But people who are, engaging in dialogue or just being consistent with, kind of who they are. I know everyone's there to, make money and have a good time, but I mean, I think there's a level of respect that can be shown to your fellow poker players who are also putting their money on the line, and kind of being true to your gameplay, right? I think especially in Torn, that gameplay is pretty variable. Like we said, people will play pipe dream kind of hands, but yeah, I don't know if there's an ideal etiquette in Torn, but I think respect kind of goes a long way. And yeah,
that was a good answer. I think I should say this. This is a good time to get this out of the way and explain this. So Paul chose to take these questions off the cuff, on the spot, which I super respect. So this will be fun. Because I gave him the option of seeing the questions beforehand and having a chance to know what they are, maybe prepare a little bit, whatever you want to do. But there is definitely a certain element that you don't get then that off the cuff definitely gives. So yeah, with that said, here's the next question. I should actually even preface this again with so we did a Q&A last episode, Paul. And somebody asked whose penis is bigger, myself or the felon's. I conceded, and we decided that the felon's penis is bigger. So my bet is this guy is trying to find now the new hierarchy of while we're on the chat together. I guess who's the alpha male, I guess. So they already know that the felon is bigger than me. So I guess the question that would be then is your penis bigger than the felon's?
I don't know. I mean, so
You don't know.
are we looking at are we just looking at length? Are we talking girth? I think that is an important part of the
That's true.
conversation.
That's a good point.
Are we looking at total volume, penile volume?
Penile
Do you have an
volume.
Do you have an equation for that as
Come
well?
on, where's your equation?
Oh man, yeah,
How do you-
I don't have an equation. The math for the equation of a cylinder.
That's disappointing. Actually, I kind of wish you had the penis equation versus the beer equation.
That's funny.
But,
Radius times height times pi squared times the equation of half of a dome, I guess would be the my best guess.
well, actually, no, I just figured this out, actually. So we know my penis is smaller than the felons because I have much higher stats than the felons, and you have higher stats than the felon. So that means the felon has the lowest stats out of all of us here, which means he is the biggest penis.
I mean,
That makes sense.
If that's what we're gonna go by, there's gonna be a lot of people that have smaller penises than me because my stats are not that big. So
No, but Ara, you have a lot of strength. You're a fucking powerhouse in the dick department, right? Small but deadly.
No, it's small, but it
True.
shoots really far. This is what it is. All right, you're
Jesus.
welcome for thoroughly disgusting everybody. I hope you don't have your kids listen to this with you. I think we should move on.
Yeah.
We don't want to talk about penis for too long. You know, there's definitely a certain like meter that you don't want to go over.
For sure.
All right. So next question. Do you want to ask it, Felon?
Yeah, sure. I'm actually kind of curious about this too. So the question is, I want to know all about the Journal of Torn Science. How did it come about? How did you get your contributors? How do you select topics?
Oh my gosh. So this is probably one of the things I'm most proud of in Torn. The Journal of Torn Science at the end of the day is a Discord server that I started and is run and operated by myself, Proxima, and Andyman. It really came about during the pandemic. I'm talking like early pandemic, March, April. Everyone was working from home, where I really wanted to establish a torn science community where because a lot of people were operating and working individually on their own kind of torn studies. Like Vladar was working on the gym calculator, right? Andyman had all of his sort of studies. I know Proxima was working on a fight simulator, right? And everyone was operating in their own silos. And I wanted to get everyone together because I knew there was a lot of really good talent out there, people who have experiences with data science and everything in their real lives that, they could apply together. And, collaboration is only good for science. So I created this server and started inviting people who wanted to, be a part of it. And really what kind of sparked it all was Kivo, the creator of the Yata bot and the Yata torrent science website. He was working on his own gym calculator and gym formula. I'm like, we need to get Kivo and Vladar in the same room, so to speak, and work this shit out. Let's determine this formula as much as we possibly can. And what we ended up doing is we started to really grow this community of other people who are interested in torrent science. We did a little bit of advertising in the forums, and we have people who are, PhD researchers, doctoral students, people who work on big data, and people who do software engineering. So we have these research quants who are able to create a plugin for our Google Chrome browser that would track every single variable that contributes to what you gain in a gym, in a stat when you train in the gym. And we tracked it for hundreds of thousands of data points. And we were able to graphically be able to understand exactly what the equation was, how much was each variable contributing, how much was your happiness contributing, your merits contributing, your job, your current stats, et cetera, et cetera. We're able to discern an actual gym formula. so that was the big thing, was the gym forum was what sparked it all. We moved on from that, and we started looking at when the Halloween baskets got out. There's a lot of research that went into that. The Duke loan, drug calculations, racing calculations for how much you're getting per racing skill. We derived a formula for racing skill, loots, companies, ranked warring. So now, I mean, the community, we have 30, 40 people online right now, and they're still active. I haven't been as active, and it breaks my heart, but I love that it's kind of grown into a community of itself. And some of the leading people are working on stuff internally. So we were posting more regularly in the newspapers, publications of some of our results, posting in the forums. We haven't done that in the past few months, and we want to do that again. But we have reached a ton of conclusions in here that, we're pretty excited about.
Oh, that's really
Yeah.
cool. Doing
Yeah, it's super cool.
doing the work for the people.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, I would say over half of what we discover in this Discord channel ends up getting posted on the forums. It's not like we're harboring these results and whatnot. I don't know if you remember a few years ago, before Ranked Warring came out, when a full body armor became the meta instead of using a combat vest. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Because it had provided more coverage, and coverage wasn't even a statistic that you see. That was something that came out of the Journal of Torrent Science, that we discovered that, hey, on average, you will receive less damage when you have more coverage, because we didn't know at the time, is just because you're wearing a combat vest, does that mean that your entire body's covered? Because it looks like your arms are exposed. And we posted in the bugs and issues forum, and Chet ended up replying and said, no, only the parts that you see that are covered are actually getting armor mitigation. So that was a discovery we made. We ran the numbers, and we realized full body armor became the meta instead of a combat vest.
I remember just using flexible body armor anyway.
Yeah.
Oh, flexible body armor. That's what I mean. Not full.
Yeah, flex. And now that coverage stat, though, is on every single piece of armor. And if you hover over it, it literally tells you exactly how much you're mitigating, how much is covered for each body part as well.
And that is a consequence of the work that we did. And we're fortunate to have players that are staff members that are involved, committee members that are involved. So we're able to, have not a direct line, but a way to communicate some of these findings to Ched in the committee forums, staff forums, that when it comes to planning new features in the game, like a lot of the members of the Journal of Torrent Science are able to be directly involved. I think that's awesome and really important. So that Joe, sees that and can take that feedback. Maybe he'll implement it, maybe he won't, but at least he has that information in front of him. And it's all player run, volunteer. We do this because we love to do it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Perfect.
Some huge brains in that Discord.
Oh yeah, big time.
It's a good thing I'm kind of funny. That's all I got going for me. But I will utilize it to my fullest extent. So as I said, what's it called? I mean, that was a great answer. Do you want to move on? I just don't want to make the decision for you.
Yeah, no. So, I mean, I know one question I always get is people ask to join the Discord, this and that. We do have some people that we've invited as members, but really kind of our angle is to have people who are not just looking for kind of a leg up in the game, but people who are actually contributing to the Torrent Science, contributing data, participating in research studies if we're evaluating, right? When we were looking at the addictiveness, how much does a single drug contribute to your addiction, right? We needed people to be involved with that. Yeah. So folks who are interested in being involved with that, or those who are interested in contributing to the research and have some sort of professional background that they're able to contribute to, that those are people who we like. Spectators, on the other hand, that's what the forums are for.
Nice.
100% agree. Well, if you ever need some professional podcasters in there, I definitely know some people that could help you out. So,
I definitely think that could be valuable, so that, because if you do see something and you're like, oh, wow, this would be awesome for like a podcast segment, right? That, because no one in this Discord is thinking about like, oh, how do I publicize this? They're just interested in the science and research and the data behind it. But if you do see something, sure, love to invite y'all.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that sounds great. So what I told you, beforehand, I think I told you like, yeah, it's mostly good questions, some funny ones, and then there's like one mean one. I think there's actually maybe two mean ones now that I think about it, and we have come to the first one.
Okay.
So it's
Yeah.
aren't you embarrassed? And so I'm assuming he's but like we have to think about like what he's referring to, I guess. I mean, I think the best bet would be he's referring to the whole staff thing, right?
Yeah, I mean, that I think I don't know what else I would have to be embarrassed about. But I'll answer that related to the poker staff thing. And yeah, I was completely fucking embarrassed. That was horrible to have your entire thing blown up. Private chats that you think are one-on-one get broadcasted out there. That sucks. And completely embarrassing. And like I said, if I could take back those actions, I would in a heartbeat, right? Because I lost so much more than just the money that I lost in that poker hand. So yeah, absolutely. And like I said, I hope people don't define my entire game based off of that 6-hour incident that one night in February 2 years ago. But otherwise, you should be fucking embarrassed, bitch. I'm gonna bounty you. No, I'm just kidding.
He's unhinged again.
The wheels are coming off.
Yeah. No, that was a great answer. Obviously you got to respect the honesty. My mama always told me honesty is the best policy.
Yes, I've heard that one.
So the next one is Torn becoming boring for you?
Oh man. It's hard to say. That's such a good question. That's something actually I've been thinking about a lot. And I mean, whenever that question comes up, I have to also reflect on what's going on in my personal life, right? I just moved across the country, started a new job, right? So other things are taking some more precedent, got engaged, like other things are becoming more important in my life, right? So does that make Torn boring? Well, I mean, sure, relative to real life and big milestone life events, sure, it could become boring. But I mean, then I think about, once I put that aside, I think about the stuff in game. I would like to see, some more action. And I think, you'll see JFK making some moves in the coming weeks and months. But, I think that one of the things that, I really found interesting was the old stock market, where you could kind of predict these trends, ebbs and flows, and make some serious fucking coin with it. With this new one, it feels like I'm in the casino, RNG. Like if Sim, let me, I don't need, no, I'm not going to look. I'm not going to look. But
don't look.
It just feels like, why put my money in there or give my money to somebody else in the faction who can invest it, when all I'm making is like at most 1 to 10% gain, when I could bring that to the poker table and make more of it in 3 or 4 hours, right? So I think when people get bored with the game, you just need to try to find an avenue that is interesting to you and a new challenge. And whether it's a new faction, which for me it isn't, but whether it's a new faction, starting a company, try your own challenge is going to take up more of your time. For me, to keep me really involved, I've been merit hunting, especially since the Crimes 2.0 is coming out. I think I have one or two more crime merits one more crime honor and a couple more crime merits that I need. So I've just been grinding those. But Yeah, is it more boring than it was during the pandemic? Sure, because during the pandemic I was doing only this, right? Now
I was an
there's less
essential
time.
worker. I get
Oh
no days
man.
off.
Oh,
But it was good because I'm a delivery driver, so like nobody was on the roads. That was fantastic.
that's yeah. No traffic.
And then everybody
No
came
one
back and then
double
forgot how to
parked.
drive. So that was kind of a
Yeah,
whammy there.
big time.
Well,
That's a good question though.
yeah. Wait, so so do you think it, like, if you had to do like a yes or no, I feel like I'm not sure if I missed it. Yes, is it becoming boring for you, or no?
I think I think if I had to answer yes or no, I would say um, yes, because I'm stimulated by less things, but it's for me, it's less because of the game and more because of shit I got going on in life or the things that I'm doing or not doing in the game, right?
Remember, real life is also just a simulation, so it's a video game no matter what.
That's facts.
Yeah, I think it's all just relative because like you just said, you just got engaged too. So like, what winning a ranked war, like what you get from that compared to you just got engaged, like it's just different things. Like that's a real life thing that's gonna mean more to you than for in that moment. Like that means a lot more than the game.
Right. And I mean, if I could go back to my, last year of grad school self, no obligations whatsoever, literally. I mean, I like to say it was one of the most selfish points of my life because I didn't need to do anything besides what I wanted to do. Now I got obligations. I told my fiance I was going on a podcast today. She laughed and called me a nerd. I'm like, yeah, takes one to know one.
That sounds like a solid. Yeah, my wife would say basically the same thing, except
yeah,
I'm so nerdy. I'm the one running the goddamn thing.
Yeah. Yeah,
I love it. And I love what you guys have done too. Like, before everything went down with the whole staff thing, and the poker thing, actually, when you guys joined the JTS Discord, you'll see like we were in the beginning stages of starting a podcast. And, when that all went down, I'm like, yeah, I don't know if I have a lot of social capital at this time to start a podcast. And also, like, I don't think the community wants to hear like a redemption tourist kind of thing. So I'm happy it actually ended up happening because this is awesome. I listened to it on my way to work, and it's cool.
Well, thank you for
you guys do a great job.
Yeah, being a part of it. You're helping
seriously.
the show out by coming in here and talking to us for a good amount of time at this point. So that's super cool.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't know.
And if you guys go ahead,
have you heard yet one of the episodes where I talk mad, threaten anybody that tries to make a competing podcast?
No, I haven't.
You'll get to that eventually. I guess I should say that is mostly a joke. Mostly a joke.
Yeah.
Well, I think you have the benefit of being, the first Torn podcast. I think somebody in the forums was saying like something with YouTube. I think that could be a good idea if like you guys are flashing up graphics and stuff that is kind of goes along with what's being discussed in the podcast. But I mean, the fact that you have it available on all the apps that most people already use, like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, I think that's, you're checking off all the boxes.
Yeah, I definitely do have to consider YouTube. It's just not many people are telling me that like they would listen to it if it was on there. But like, I don't know. I do feel bad excluding people. It just feels like it's a whole other thing because like otherwise I just like upload it on one thing and it ends up on everything. But for like YouTube, I'd have to do it separately, and then I also have to like make it so like it's like a video file with like an image on it, and it's like a whole thing. So it's like I don't know. That's the thing. If I'm doing that for like so that like 3 people can listen to it, not to be a
Well,
jerk, but
maybe
like
if you did it for one and then saw the feed and said, "Hey, we're trying it out for this one. You know, if it doesn't hit a certain benchmark, it's not worth the fucking time." But no, I get what you're saying, and you want it to be worth your time because it's a lot of extra effort to put in the visual components.
Yeah, especially that, because like I'm just talking about if it was just like we just put like the image that is on like Spotify and stuff like that, and it's just like that the whole time. But like, oh my god, if it was also like flashing up images on the screen of like stuff that we're talking about, oof, man. I mean, I definitely wouldn't be able to do that. We would have to hire somebody for that for sure if we were ever gonna do that. If anybody wants to do that for free, I mean, I guess get in touch with me. I know I just said hire, but like realistically, I don't really want to hire anybody to do that. We're not making that much from this. So
yeah,
like...
you said what? Only like $200,000 a year, right? No, I'm happy to help Ara. I have some skills in video editing and that sort of thing. So,
oh really?
Yeah, if that's something you're serious about, we could talk offline. Yeah.
Oh, cool. Yeah. We could definitely talk about that. Solid. I know that some people would be very happy if it did end up on YouTube and stuff like that. So.
Yeah.
I just know that I don't want to burn out, so I can't put too much into this. You know what I mean? There's like a fine line. If I go too hard,
big time,
just burn out, and then there's none
of
it.
Yep. Yeah. Torn. All things torn it's a long game, and that's what Z Junior likes to remind me. Right? Like this is a long-term game, not a short-term game.
So don't blow all your money on set. And I don't understand. Okay, move. All right. So we're at the next the last I would call mean question.
Okay.
Maybe this one's more sassy.
Let's go.
Sassy?
Yeah.
What would you say?
Right.
More sassy than mean? All right,
yes,
you asked.
I would say more sassy. All right, it says, why would you ever willingly go by the name Paul?
Oh man. So I feel bad for the person who asked this because the reason's actually very personal.
Oh man.
So when I started the account, I wasn't Paul. I think I was like Mafia something. But the game was pretty fresh, so there were a lot of names available. And my grandpa ended up passing away, and his name was Paul. And he was an absolute badass and was like kind of like this. I always looked at him as like a mafia kind of figure, and like you never knew exactly what he was doing, but he was always up to something. And I'm like, all right, I'm gonna take his namesake if it's available. And Paul was available, and I'm like, in a way, it's kind of like remembering my grandfather and all of his assholery that he engaged in, and kind of living it on. So to the person who asked the question, go fuck yourself. My grandpa's gonna haunt the shit out of you tonight.
That was incredibly perfect.
Yeah, sorry for your loss, of course. And it reminds me of something that actually happened to me recently. But it's like I was the asshole that just I was the asshole basically. So on the forums in general discussion, somebody posted, what's your best dump find? And they said, mine's a poison mistletoe. I was the first response. I said, your mom. And I got 40 likes on it, which was pretty solid. 3 dislikes. But then
I think I was one of them.
And he quoted it and said, LOL, my mom passed away 4 years ago. So pretty much sort of the same situation there. And then somebody actually bouted me anonymously saying, your mom joke, not funny.
Which oh my funny. God.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you gotta be careful. There are a lot of characters on the site, and everyone has different backgrounds and beliefs and whatever. So yeah.
Well,
you're always gonna offend someone.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. And this actually goes perfect into the next question though, is how much would you sell your name for?
Oh, Okay,
Bill,
so
you're in JFK. You've been listening to the show.
Oh, yeah,
I don't know if you've gotten to that part yet, but
The JFK standard is 5 billion.
I know that the process of because I remember being on staff with people trying to sell their names and people just get scammed so many fucking times, and people either don't get the money or the person who sends the money gets scammed. I'm not saying I would ever scam anyone. I don't. That's not my gameplay style. But yeah, I mean 5 billion at a minimum would, but like there's a lot of sentimental value. I'd also want to know what the person's trying to get out of it. If they're just trying to impersonate me, then fuck that.
Yep.
I think a cool 20 billion for Paul would be a fair price, right? There's a couple 100,000 people that play the game, right? There's only going to be one Paul. It's not Paul with numbers. It's not. I see all the other Pauls out there. I think a cool 20 billion, I think I would be happy with if I knew it was a secure transaction.
Yeah. I'd say that's
I
fair.
would agree with that. I just might as well put it out there. If anybody wants my name, 20 billion, I'd sell my name for 20 billion as well. Might as well put it out there. It's worth it.
That's funny.
I'll go by Jim Bob. Jim Bob. I don't know, man. I'll figure it out. I can figure out another name.
Yeah, for 20 billion, sure can.
Yes. All right. How much did you sell your name for? All right. Next question is: how much money has JFK accidentally given to its members in PT family fashion?
Oh, cheap. Love it.
Okay, so the process for receiving money is kind of like a 3 or 4 step process for this exact reason. So as far as I'm concerned, it has never happened, and I'm privy to a good amount of if that would happen. So yeah, no, we have a pretty throughput process that avoids that.
So join PT over at JFK because you have a chance at 4.4 trillion.
Oh my God, that I remember seeing that. And I was like, I would never fuck over JFK, and like if that happened to me, I'd always get back the money. But when I saw 4.4 trillion, I'm like, you're immediately the number one net worth player in the game.
Golden
I'm like,
ticket.
I raised the question. I'm like, would I? Then I'm like, I personally, I don't still think I would. Morally, I don't think I could do that. But I mean, like, it's like with 4.4 trillion, you have enough to get enough stat enhancers that you'd be able to beat anyone who would attack you, right? So you would alleviate any of that. But if I was in, another faction, not JFK, and that happened, 4.4 trillion would be my net worth.
Yes.
Yeah.
Golden ticket.
Yep, seriously.
They got it back though, right?
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, they gave it all back.
They gave it back.
Okay. I would ask
right.
for like a 10% finder's fee.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah, something.
Serious. Oh my God. I hope we got something. Like something. Like
Right. Like, hey, I just gave you back your entire player's years of hard work. I would like at least $1 billion from every player who's affected.
Seriously. All right, next question. Tips on how to grow your faction, and it's targeted at 100K to 500K respect factions if possible.
Okay. So if you don't have a core community-based friend base of at least 10 to 15 players who you like know and trust, who are willing to be there for you, ride or die, then I don't think you should be starting a faction, right?
Agreed.
If you're going into a faction blind, right, starting it with people you do not know, do not trust, they don't know you, they don't trust you as a leader. I don't see how you could do that unless you're making quick money off of like rank warrant caches. If you're just doing that, then who gives a shit? But I mean, if you're actually trying to grow and develop a faction, I think you need friends in the game who will also have skin in the game with you in this faction, that will leave their faction, which is the number one thing, and come with you to join a faction that, is going to be bare bones starting up. And I think that's the number one thing. What will that will help you grow, right? Because those 5 to 10 people that you have can also reach out to their network, and get people to join. And then also you have a little bit more respect as well. Like people will kind of like value you more as a faction with, a solid core, a solid team, rather than, hey, I'm just this one person who bought this random faction. Because when people join a faction, they're joining a community, right? This is what they spend most of their time playing, and you need that. There's nothing worse than joining a faction and seeing that it's dead inside and there's no connection between any of the other members. So you need to establish what you have inside before you can grow from the outside.
That was a great answer. You'd think you'd
Yeah,
have time
seriously.
to prepare. Honestly, there's a lot of these. It's like, I'm like, did you hack into our email and find the questions?
No.
Like,
No, I think when you play this
Decent.
game for long enough, 10, 15
Yeah.
years.
Yeah, seriously, for real. Yeah, it really shows that like you know the game.
Thank you. Thank you.
So the next question is best ways to recruit with a small faction, which is kind of similar. Somewhat.
You need a selling point, right? When you have factions like NS4, NS Bomb Shelter, even JFK has just bought a new faction, the JFK Future Killers, where if I'm a young up and coming player, right, I have the option to join a several million respect faction. That's what you have to really consider yourself going against. And I mean, I don't say this to discourage small factions, but you have to really understand what you're selling, right? And don't oversell, don't overpromise. For me, I would sell the journey, sell the community. What are you doing that's going to differentiate yourself from another faction, right? A big faction family that has a 4th tier, 3rd tier faction that, has millions of respect, because you're not going to beat them in that, right? You're not going to be able to offer more steadfast because you can't, right? So you have to find other ways to go about doing that. And I think a lot of people are attracted to the fact that there's a community, there's a Discord, there's events, there's more to the faction than just the stat gains, right? And if there are people who are super obsessed with the stat gains and that 1 or 2 extra percent that you're going to gain in the gym, then let them do that, right? They're probably not going to be the best members for your faction anyways, especially when it comes to warring. They're going to be the people who don't stack their energy, the people who don't give enough of a shit, right? Like if you look at flat factions like Bloodbath and Beyond, BBB, I was able to join them for their 100K chain, and that was such an awesome experience, right? They didn't start with a huge member base, right? They kind of empowered everyone within and established a really awesome community, a very active community, very active Discord, right? They weren't the number one, the number this, but they asked a lot of their members. And, some members will love the grind and respect the grind, and there's some that won't. But I think it starts with understanding what it is you're selling and don't overpromise.
Killing it once again.
Yeah, seriously.
All right, Felon, you ask this next one.
All right, next question is your least favorite player in Torn. It's a tough one.
Oh man. So
Is it Outlet?
The easy answer is just that dude who took your money in poker.
What was his name?
He doesn't even
Outlet?
play anymore.
Dude, Outlet. No, he's not my least favorite. And honestly, most people's gut answer is going to be to say the trolls, like Chingadanga or whatever his name is. Like he's the one who gives me the most in the forums. But him and I have like chatted outside of the forums, like privately, and he's a normal guy. Like he's very respectable, but that's just his character style, and he shows up as a troll. I think the fucking only person that really just grinds my gears beyond all belief that I had issues with when I was a staff member, that I still have issues with, is that guy Shuby, man. Oh my God. He's like on one about everything. Like it could be like Christmas Day and he's fucking bitching about something in the forums, calling somebody an incel. Like, dude, what is your problem? Like, take a day off, right? Like, Oh my God. So he's the only person that I actually have like blocked, ignored, like from my shits just so he can be out of my hair. And I try to like message him, like be like, hey, like I'm a human, you're a human. Let's, you know, be respectful to each other and not like go scorched earth anytime any one of us posts. And he had no interest in that whatsoever. So if I had to pick a least favorite person, it'd be that. But you know, when I was a staff member, you can't have anyone blocked. No one can have you blocked, right? You're interacting with everyone. So I didn't really have one at that point. There were people who would like frequently come up to me saying, "Hey, this person broke this rule. This person broke that rule," and it wasn't a real rule break. And then they would give you a small thesis on why they thought it was a rule break, and you just kind of have to, you know, explain to them and, you know, be gentle. But, you know, I don't, that's like the one thing, especially after that whole outlet thing, is like, I don't want to hate anyone. I don't want to have to like, you know, have grudges and that sort of thing. It doesn't make for an enjoyable gameplay for me, at least.
Right. Just to clarify, is Shubi this? Is he like level 80, like 1,000 days old? He's a leader of like a.
He has a green honor bar. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so his ID is 2510470. And yeah, I wouldn't worry about him too much. I mean, I was looking at his stats. I mean, this guy kind of sucks. He's got negative net worth.
Yeah, he does. He has to be blocked on everything as well.
He has the most, lives in a shack. He has the most people blocked. If you go and click his forum post, like you're going to see a different type of human psychology that you will not often encounter. And it is fucking baffling how, like, I don't want to hate on the guy as a person, but just like how you can join a game and like just hate on everything. Right. And like, even like for me, like I reached out to him in good conscience, good faith, just trying to be like, hey, dude, like, there's no reason why, like, what's the fucking deal? Like, yeah, but there are people like that in this world, and you know, it sucks and it's sad to live, like, really be that upset about everything. But you know, I choose what to get upset about at this point, and other people in this game are not one of them.
Yeah, very true.
That must be how amazing Torn Underground is, because I haven't seen him hate on that. Hey.
Nope.
Oh no way! Just wait until this gets good. If he listens, I'm certain he will be in that forum derailing the shit out of it.
Well, you know, don't have to worry about him bountying us, at least, because, you know, negative net worth. But
facts.
All right. Favorite weapon at the moment?
So back in my heyday, before, like when I was in my peak poker life and everything, I was rocking the GAC and a handbag, both of which I purchased from UAE, and they are beautiful. And even after all this rank war stuff came out, I still love the gold-plated AK-47. You cannot beat the fact that that thing has so much ammo. It puts in so much damage, and you get 2 or 3. There's nothing worse than being in an attack and like all you need just one more hit with your primary, but you have to hit reload, right? And that just sucks. So having that ammo is great. Having that accuracy is great. I think the gold-plated AK is still to this day so overpowered, right? Like you can't tell me a 20-round like red Arma is going to be putting in the work that thing is. Secondary though, was tough. I think all the secondaries suck. I can't find an argument for why I would actually want to use the secondary in this game. But the melees, stat-wise, love the handbag, love the naval cutlass. I pulled that first or second rank word DBK that I sold to somebody who does not want to be named. That was perfect for mugging, and that thing was an absolute beast, real pleasure to use. But yeah, I like the GAC still to this day, I can't think of anything that's going to really convince me otherwise that that's one of the best in the game.
The
Yeah,
only
I'd agree with
reason
that.
I would respectfully disagree with that is the way I see the gold
Please.
AK-47 is I mean, obviously super expensive, right? You could get a 20% demoralized for 20 bill, right? So you
Yeah.
can get them as cheap as 20 bills. So let's keep that in mind, of course, because not everybody knows that, because a gold AK is not something everybody can get. So if you buy it from
Right.
Dubai, it's 25 bill, and you're taking that risk of it could be a 20% demoralize, and then you've basically just lost $5 billion. It's now only worth 20 billion, and you could have just bought one for 20 billion anyway.
Right.
So it's a gamble. If you get 21%, that's okay. But you are still losing some value. 22%, I believe, sells for over 25 billion. Right?
Yeah, the 22 you're going to get between 25 and 30 depending on the quality. But I mean, minimum I would take for a 22 is 27.
Gotcha. And then 23%, like 33 out there, right? Or maybe more.
Oh yeah. 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 Yeah, I mean, at that point you're looking for a buyer who really wants it. And that's going to be the toughest part. And at that point, if you do find a buyer, you can get up there in the 30s.
So what that bonus does is it has a, what is it? So yeah, that's the percent chance it has for this effect proc, basically. So you have a 20 to 23% chance to make it so that it minuses all their stats. Everybody that's attacking you stats, or that you're in an attack with, by minus 10%, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that can stack 5 times to a total of 50%.
Yeah.
And what I like about the Delta armor is it minuses that too, which is cool. But that's not really what I'm talking about. And so the reason I would say I am not ready to see the GAC as like the best weapon for me is because I think right at the moment the money would be better spent on SEs for me, specifically more parachutes to get more what's it called, defensibility. I think I'd be much better doing that than buying a GAC. When I'm ready for a GAC, I think, is when people have to group me to take me down. I mean, that's not really the moment right now. I mean, I haven't done a war since SEing my decks. I mean, it wasn't like a huge SEing, right? Because I was at 1.7 and now I brought it to 3.5. Nothing crazy, but combined with Delta armor and being in a stripper, I think it should be fun, but I don't know yet. So it'll be cool to see. But at the moment, I don't think I'm at the point where I'm only getting taken down pretty much by people grouping me. When that comes, and I think the money would be better off spent on a GAC to fight away people grouping me, because I mean, if you can lower everybody that's grouping you by 50%, that's huge. That's why that bonus can be so good. I think it's best for when you're getting grouped. That's where that bonus really shines. So when I get to that point, then I'm going to get a GAC. But at the moment, right, that money would be better spent pumping dexterity up or whatever, basically. But obviously, it's still a great weapon. In no way am I saying the GAC is a bad weapon. Holy crap. But that's the only reason I would say that, like, I'm not ready for it. But some people just really want that OP shiny weapon. It just depends on what you want. If that makes you, makes you happier than throwing SCs into it, then hey, that's your account, right?
Yeah. So I agree. My last counterpoint with this is I think Andy Man did the math a few years ago for me when I bought mine. Is because I asked him the same thing: is it worth more better for my? Is that 25 billion worth more for SEs, or is it worth more for this gun? And what is it like? It's what, 20 or 30 SEs you need to increase your stats 10%? No, less than that.
Wait, sorry, what was that?
I know it's like 70, 73 or 70 to double it.
It's like 70 to double, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you get your GAC to proc 5 times in an attack, that's like chewing 35 SEs in a single attack, right? And if you get to do that for every single attack, what he said was the money you would save long term, you would be able to save that and train your stats. And it would be like if that thing procs once, twice, 3 times, it would be like chewing, a couple dozen SEs at a time in an attack.
Gotcha. That's definitely a way that I didn't think about it. So
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, but so that's why my argument is join a faction that has literally a small arsenal of GACs at your disposal. And it's like JFK, where my biggest frustration is, I only have the 21% demo GAC I can use right now. What the fuck? Yeah.
Yeah, I remember in natural selection during wars, it would just be like one of the sections of the weapons page would just be just gold. One whole page would just be gold.
Yep.
It's just like, holy shit.
Yep.
Which one do I want? Fun. I feel like that would like seeing that would blow some like new players' minds, just being like, what?
Oh, yeah. Big time. It blew my mind. And I was a level 90 when I joined JFK and had nothing to my name. I was like, what is this?
Yeah, just seeing like a page with just one page with like $300 billion worth of items on it. Like, what?
Yeah. I'm like, oh, okay, this is the result of a decade's worth of dominance in this game, right?
Seriously. All right, next question. Do you want to ask it, Phil?
Yeah. Opinions on the growth of Torn and what you would like to see in future updates.
Great question. Do you mind if we take a 30-second break real quick just so I could run to the restroom? I know you just were just saying that. I'm sorry.
You got it. I'll do the same.
All right. Give me a minute. Paul is back.
I don't think Ara's gone back yet.
Where'd you come from? Where'd you go? Where'd you come from? Cotton Eye Joe.
And Ara's back.
Welcome back, everybody. I don't know what I'll do for the edit there, but I'll figure it out. It was silent, right? So I'll be able to find the place to edit.
Yeah, it's nice and easy.
Yeah.
Perfect.
I'll just start with where I was at before then, just as if the question wasn't even asked. Or the question was asked.
Oh, okay, there you go.
All right. No, but that's a great question, I think.
Probably. Just
yeah.
Right. Opinions on the growth of Torn and what you would like to see in future updates.
Yeah. So Torn growth-wise has been tremendous. I mean, during the pandemic, the number of accounts that we're logging back on, number of new accounts that we got is amazing. I mean, it was like so few players that I think the average daily player is like 2,000 or 3,000 when I joined. So, I mean, the growth has just been insane from my perspective, to the point where, and this is a true story, this happened once. I was playing Torn at a bar, they needed to take a Xanax, and somebody said to me something about Torn and fucking drunkenly stumbled out and left. And I was like, wait, what the fuck?
I remember reading that post.
So, I mean, that was a cool moment in a way. In terms of like the growth has been tremendous. I mean, they're growing new players naturally just through social media and everything Ash Sugar Valves is doing has been great. In terms of like the new in-game content, I think they did a lot with the Halloween event. That was big. I like to see more of like, those kind of events. I think elimination is running stale for everyone. I think since that is kind of a longer event, 2 or 3 weeks long, I would love to see that kind of grown, because that's a way for people to leave their silos of their faction and work with other players because they're forced to. And that's the biggest way people like grow as a community, is when you're forced to, do that, right? And I do think there's a lot of growth potential there. Stocks 2.0, I already mentioned what my feelings were about that. It's kind of just RNG luck. It's pretty much as good as going to the casino and gambling. But the benefit blocks are there, which are nice. Um, Really, I think, a lot of the growth that we'll see internally, it will come from the players, like, factions, trying to claim the island, right? Territory wars that, are not just fake wars for respect or, to help you win your rank war. So I think a lot of the growth has to come from the player base. And I think Joe Chadburn has done a ton of work to provide an infrastructure for that. And I think there's a lot of avenues for players to kind of really do that. But I don't think a lot of players are taking on a lot of those risks to, cause up a stir in the game. But from what the game can do itself, those, monthly events that we have, like elimination, they used to have like King of the Hill, that sort of thing. I think that is pretty tremendous, pretty awesome. So more of those would be great.
Another fantastic answer. Say you definitely hacked into our email.
No.
Just goes to show the quality of what they look for in staff, because you know the game. Like there's no doubt about that. You understand everything about the game.
Thank you. And no, just on that point alone, I mean, like that's kind of what they look for, is people who truly understand the game, the dynamic of the game, the social aspects of the game, as well as the strategic aspects of the game, the different metas, the different routes you can go, because you're interacting with players so frequently on a daily basis. Like when I was on staff, I would chat with probably 100 different players a day, and each one of them has their own interests in the game, their own gameplay styles, and you have to be able to understand that to be able to communicate with them, right? Because you can't have a staff member approach like a trader who doesn't know trading and doesn't understand trading and be able to answer their questions if you don't respect that gameplay style and what it is that they're trying to do. You need somebody who truly can appreciate that to, help them in their journey.
Mm-hmm. Not to pat our own backs, but I think that's one thing that I think we did well in the beginning of all this. I really tried to set the stage of like, Torn is your game to how to play it. I might have the way I like to play it, but that doesn't take away from what you like about it and what the reasons you play it. That was definitely something I really wanted to theme everything around and make a point of.
Yeah.
Oh, big time. Yeah. And I think that's the biggest selling point when I'm, talking to friends or trying to get new people to join, is like, hey, if I'm talking to one of my friends who's a finance bro, right? You want to fucking make a ton of money in this game and like run the stock market, start a company, you could do that if that's your gameplay style. I'm sure you'd kill it in it, right? Or if you're somebody who's good at poker and wants to do the poker tables. I have a friend who I got to play, that I met through poker, whose net worth is almost 100 billion. I don't want to, provide that who they are because I didn't ask, but they're worth hundreds of billions, and now they're into the game pretty much solely for the poker aspect. They think all the other things are nice and cool and fun, but I mean, that's that aspect that they love, and that's totally cool.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
That's true.
This next one's a interesting question too. I have no idea, so I'm hoping because I have no idea. What are your thoughts on all of the movement of territories in the West?
Okay, hold on, let me pull up the map.
I know Sector 7, from what I've been hearing, has been pretty active recently.
All right, so I don't know what I can share and what I can't share. So there has been movement. So I think the big movement that they're looking at is the fact that the giant block where JFK is now is where 39th used to be. And I don't know if the reasons behind that have been made public.
Okay. And you're not sure if they want it to be public.
I don't know if I want to be the person to disclose that. So that's up to 39th to discuss why they moved to where they are. But if you look where they are on the map now, it should be pretty clear where they stand.
Are they like, did they get like lose a sector basically? Like did they downgrade?
No. They moved to the completely opposite side of the map.
Oh, okay. I don't know much about territory politics, honestly. All I know is that there's an island called Penis Island, I think, because of Penn.
Yeah.
And I'm going to talk like Lieutenant Gentleman, and Mongarch would like to take Penis Island, and therefore, I mean, if they took it, then it's no longer Penis Island. They can name it whatever they want. Then, that's all I know. Other than that,
Okay.
I don't know any of the other politics.
So this is how so the politics are there. They're alive and well. It's something that faction leaders are doing on a daily basis, and that's like, one of the big ways to kind of spice up your game. But to understand the politics effectively and to answer this question that the person asked, you really have to understand the history of some of these factions and the faction leaders and where their relations are to other factions. So I'll give you an example. The faction Imminent Apocalypse, 8.5 million respect faction. They're on the Western Front. They have the IA kind of faction tag logo. Their leader, Easy Eye, is a former member of JFK, longtime one of the founding members, if I remember correctly, of JFK. They have 3 factions now. They're massive in terms of their size and how much they take up the map, and they're seated, very closely to JFK, right? So if you understand where some of these leaders are, where they've been in their game, and who they've been a part of, you can see where these alliances are and where their allegiances stand. So that explains where they are on the map. One of the things I do is I take a screenshot of the map every month to see if there are any big movements that are not being discussed in the forums, because most things happen before they're public. And I encourage the community and those who are listening to do that and kind of do some of their research independently to see, why some things are happening on the map, how they're happening on the map, because nothing happens on accident. No one's like, oh, let's just move to this territory on accident. I think the thing that's most interesting for me is on the Western Front of the map, you have Monarch Research and Monarch Engineering on the left side, right behind JFK and other surrounding territories. But their Monarch HQ is on the completely opposite side of the map, behind all the nuke sort of factions. Is that intentional or is that unintentional? Why do they split their differences there? Is there a strategic play there? Are they trying to sort out which alliances they're going to have before they go and attack the island? What are they doing? Are they splitting the difference? That's not on accident. It's very uncommon to have factions split up, faction families split up like that. Usually everyone's kind of in a tight-knit group, but that's not the case for Monarch.
Huh. Interesting.
Something I've never looked at, and it obviously all makes sense once you see it and ask questions about it. So very interesting.
Yeah, perfect. All right, next question. Besides, of course, coming on Torn Underground, what was your best? Wait, no, it's 2023. Everything I just said doesn't make any sense. Okay, what was your best Torn moment in 2022?
Oh boy. Let me think. 2022, it has to be the 100K chain. I've been wanting a chain with Bloodbath and Beyond for a while now, because they've been beasts rolling up that Hall of Fame respect table. And I knew Adam and Lily from Call of Duty Warzone and just playing other games outside of Torn. And I've been wanting to work with them. So when they said they were doing the 100K, I said, sign me the fuck up. I want to see how this machine operates. And it is nothing short of a machine. It is every minute of every hour of every day is accounted for in terms of who's running the chain, who's running the bonuses, who's running the countdowns. And the support that they have is unlike I've seen outside of JFK, because everyone really knows like the members in JFK, they will fight and die beside Z Jr. and whatever he is instructing us to do and whatever his orders are. Like that is just a fact. And the membership in B3 is just so supportive of the leaders. And I think that's needed. And I think you're going to see a lot of growth in that faction. So it was a real treat to, spend some time there with them.
I actually have a follow-up question then. Who does the whipping in Bloodbath and Beyond?
Amp, probably.
Right? Okay.
Yeah, Amp. Oh, man. I took a couple screenshots of her newsletters just because I want to, I don't know if I need to be as strong worded as she is. But she has a way of getting people in line that is pretty awesome. And I work with Amphimorphine. I'm just using her abbreviated name. While I was a staff member, and even on staff, she's the same way. She's very, very good at what she does, and her leadership style just continues as a player in that faction. And when she's speaking, you see that red name in chat, everyone's like, all right, I need to shut the fuck up and listen.
Yeah, I'm having flashbacks right now because I chained and warred under her when I was in JFA 2.0. Scared.
Yeah, she's strong-willed.
Yes, yeah. That's one way to put it for sure. No, she's cool though. I'm not talking. I just realized it kind of sounds like I'm talking shit. I mean, she's strong-willed.
No.
She's a strong
personality.
She's a badass for sure. Yes.
Yeah.
I can't. Of course, this kind of a question ended up in here though. Pineapple on pizza, yes or no? There's only one right answer.
Big fan.
Get it? Okay.
Big fan.
And then it says, and I wonder though if this is the right answer or not, because then it says, get it wrong and you'll be destined to step on Legos. So they're threatening you pretty heavily there. So if you step on a Lego in the near future, you know why. You answered wrong, apparently.
Oh, geez. Oh, man. Yeah, no, I love the pineapple on pizza. I think it has a salty and juicy combination that is good. I mean, it's not my first, when people say I like pineapple pizza, I think people think I'm ordering exclusively pineapple on pizza whenever I put a piece of pizza in my mouth, which is not true, right? But I appreciate it and I enjoy it if it's there.
I just haven't tried it, so I can't really comment. I know obviously the question's for me, but I do want to go into a little bit by myself because I actually have a whole thing. I do understand the plight of pineapple on pizza lovers and what they have to deal with, because I have sort of a tradition every single elimination. And I don't know why. And I don't remember it until I start doing it. And then I'm like, wait a second, this is what I do every single year. Why do I do this? But it's become a tradition for me at this point where I tell my elimination team about peanut butter bacon pizza. And it's super good.
Wait,
and it's
what?
basically, yes. So basically, instead of the sauce, it's peanut butter. And that's basically the sauce. And then there's bacon on it too, and it's so good. And it sounds bad, but it's so good. And it's a place called Randy's Rooster Street Pizza that makes it. And I don't know if anybody else makes peanut butter pizza, but I mean they do it so perfectly. And but actually on the menu it says don't knock it till you try it. So I get where the pineapple people are coming from, because I'm telling you everybody, but yeah, during elimination, I just tell everybody about it, and everyone's just like, "What the heck is that? That's disgusting!" And everybody ends up hating me, and I do it every single year, and I just get ousted because everyone doesn't agree with the concept of peanut butter bacon pizza. And that's all I got there.
I'm happy you shared that. We have placed your bounty. Okay, good.
Yeah. Seriously, welcome to your last episode, Ara.
Oh, I got it
That
offended.
sucks.
Oh, that's gonna be on me for a week. No one's gonna go for that. God damn it. That's the thing. Like all the bounties I've gotten lately, like people have been bountying me, but like no one does it for like a high enough, so I actually get hospitalized. So it just sits on me for a
Yeah.
week.
Yeah.
So that's one thing I guess we can let people know. If you bounty a high stat person, you have to bounty enough that like somebody will go for it. Because if you don't bounty them enough, they're not going to go for it. Like obviously, Paul's just joking around, so he bounted me with $10,000. But like it's funny because like noobs will actually like bounty me, and then it just never gets claimed because no one's attacking me for 100,000.
No,
it's not happening.
No. Yeah, for any level 100, it has to be like 300K plus for it to be even remotely considerable.
For real. All right. There's actually one more question, and I feel like it's a little bit of a loaded question because of one of the hosts on the show. But what are your opinions on some of the biggest veterans on NS leaving for different factions?
Oh, so it kind of sucks to see. I think, let me think of some of the names. So I think Dreek was one of them, right? It does suck to see. So for those that don't know, NS was part of JFK back before the whole big war took place,
Insurgency war.
2019 insurgency. And the primary thing that kind of makes it a little sad for me to see is because like you went from being JFA, which was a huge part of the JFK family, to becoming NS, growing NS, and being one of the most dominant like factions in the game. And correct me if I'm wrong, but most of these players are leaving and joining Monarch, right? They're not many are joining CR from what I can see. At least. Oh, Dreek's in NS still. I'm thinking of somebody else. And
oh, okay. Yeah,
in any case, oh man, I can't remember his name. I'm gonna remember as soon as I'm done answering.
K. Robert? Maybe?
K. Robert. Yes, K. Robert. Yeah, and like, has been a part of the NS family for years. And leaving to join Monarch to do what though? Like I mean, they want to get the island, but they haven't gotten the island, right? And there's been only rumors about what the plans might be. And like leaving to join what will eventually be NS's biggest kind of enemy, just because of the assault on the territory, is just like counterintuitive to me. So it sucks to see, as much as, JFK and SA have had their issues, in the past, to see their core, SA's core hollowed out, like Love You Too, Hate Train, some of these big players in SA that have just left to go to S. It does suck to see because, I would say at least 90% of the players in JFK are very much so like ride or die, right? They're here, they're not going anywhere, right? People might give a shit. We're all old retirement home, like, we're not number one anymore, but you can't take away the experience that these players have, the stats that these guys have, and their loyalty to this faction and to, Z Junior, Dr. Gonzo, and some of these guys. Like, you can't take that away. And I think that does more for us, because in our ability to, recruit players, because we have that loyalty. And, and I don't like it. I would like to see, NS and Monarch fight the war on when they're both at their strongest. But if Monarch are at their strongest by getting a couple more top guys from NS, then, so be it.
Right. And I definitely it does make me sad because I did enjoy knowing that like I was in natural selection since the beginning of natural selection. That I did take a sense of
Mm.
pride in that. And not only that, I was in the faction that led into natural selection. JFA. I was in JFA 2.0, but those are the two factions that led into natural selection basically. And
Mhm.
so obviously I just lost my ride or die status, and that does make me sad. But the way I kind of saw it was, I feel like a lot of changes are happening in Torn right now, not only as like a game wide, but also with my own game, my own account. I got the whole podcast thing, which has changed Torn for me in a significant way, for sure. And I, I haven't been in the top 100 for that long. I mean, maybe it's been a year now. I can't tell. If it's been a year, it just became a year, basically. So I don't know, but I haven't been in this position for that long, and I did kind of see myself coming to a point where I think it's kind of really time to like really choose sides of like where I want to be, and I've you know I've had my moments where, I've left natural selection before in like very small bouts. I went to try to make my own faction with Legion. We ended up selling it for a huge profit, so that was cool because the people just did
Nice.
not accept us. The members did not accept us, so it made it really easy to sell it for a huge profit. So that was cool. And then I came, with my tail between my legs back to natural selection. Basically, they did take me back in. I don't know. It's just at this point, it's like I need to either stay and like really secure my loyalty within them, or it's time to really finally make that decision to move. And I think it was kind of just the right time to go to Chain Reaction. But no, I totally get what you're saying, and I am sad to lose that whole ride or die feeling, you know what I mean? Because that's what I had and that's what I
Yeah.
could say, and I can't say that now. So that's a loss for sure, but I am looking forward to it
Hmm.
either way.
Well, where do you think CR is gonna end up? Because I know, when NS and Monarch do fight, it's not just going to be NS versus Monarch. It's going to be a bunch of other factions and
Right.
families involved as well. Do you
I
feel
might have
like
to help them
CR
defend.
is going to choose a size? Yeah.
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
think CR is friends with natural selection. I basically went to an allied faction of natural selection, basically, right?
okay. Because
Is
I
I
think
think.
where was I made a post in the natural deselection, which was a troll thread, but I said, you know, if NS were to be attacked on the island, that would be a quick way to see where they stand across the board in terms of their membership, loyalty, strength. Like you don't see Deft in B3 anymore. You see him back home in his main faction, and a lot of them are ready to go. And I mean, I think everyone forgets about Bomb Shelter and Penicillin and all the beasts that are in there that are, loyal to NS as much as they're kind of off doing their own thing right now. Like, I don't think that strength should be underplayed, and
Yeah,
the
I agree.
activity of NS too.
Mhm.
Like that
I'm
hasn't gone away.
excited to see what happens. Really, honestly. But yeah, I do think CR is set to help NS defend the island. To my knowledge, again, of just like a regular member that also just left his faction for a long time. So like, basically what I'm trying to say is I don't really know anything.
Yeah, yeah, it'll be interesting. I'm hoping again, nothing is for sure because no one has attacked anything yet, but it'll be interesting to see where JFK aligns with, given our known friendly partnership, allies with Monarch and our former faction family, Natural Selection, many of which who have been in JFK and fought alongside us in the insurgency war. So it'll be interesting, but I'm hoping we sit this war out. We've had enough island battle. Maybe in a few years.
Yeah. I mean, it would be cool because like insurgency was the coolest thing, and I want to do an episode all about insurgency. But the reason it probably might not happen for a while is because it has to be done right. I don't want to put out like
Oh,
a
thousand
just a
percent.
I can't just rush out an insurgency episode. It has to be done right. No ifs, ands, or
Yes.
buts.
Oh, I would that is a big goal of mine, and I've done a ton of research into this war when all the newspaper articles were being posted and everything. You would need people from all this. Honestly, it would probably need to be at least a 3-part series, like where you have
Literally,
the insurgency side, the JFK side, and then maybe one episode where you have the leaders from both sides come together for like the first time.
Yeah. Oh man, it's like the idea of it is so great, but I know like I don't know. I don't think I'm willing. I don't think I'm able to put the work that's required in for that yet. You know what I mean? So it's like
We'll do it.
We'll
get
get
it done.
to do it, but we got to do it. But give us some time, basically.
When you're ready,
everybody.
give me a call. I'm so happy to help with that. That has
Perfect.
I want that. Yeah. Just as a fan.
For sure.
Yeah.
Cool.
Cool.
But yes, that was actually that was the last question. Thank you so much. I mean, we're sitting at
this was incredible.
well over 2 hours now. Thank you so much for your time. Seriously.
Hey, thank you guys so much. Like I said, I love what you guys are doing. It's great. Keep it up. Like I said, don't burn yourself out, because a lot of the community loves this sort of format of a podcast. So It's really cool. And if there are any competitors, I will never show up on their show out of respect to you all.
Let's go.
Solid.
Lock it down.
Lock down. Exclusive
awesome.
guests for Torn on the Ground.
Seriously.
Let's go.
So when Torn Above Ground comes out, don't listen to them.
Nope. They got nothing else.
Perfect.
All right, cool.
All right, well, I will hit you up for that insurgency for sure.
Yeah, definitely. We're gonna need as many hands on deck as we can for that one.
That's right.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Hey, have a great rest of your Sunday.
Thank you so much. Go Niners.
Shameless plug. Shameless.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you guys.
Later.
Thank you.
Bye.